A violent eviction is about to occur at the nearby market. The merchants oppose the developer's plan to demolish the market and build a skyscraper. In response, the developer hires a gang for forced eviction. Gang leader Zhang Shichu takes the job, pushing to the front to negotiate. Susu is the merchant's attorney, refusing to back down. A fierce battle erupts, and Susu unleashes her inner strength, slapping Shi and scolding him for not understanding the law or people's hearts. You want to know what shamelessness is? Shi suddenly felt that the slap just now didn't hurt at all. Instead, he found the woman in front of him quite charming. He instantly turned into a sycophant, ordering his lackeys to retreat immediately. The developer's representative was stunned. But in Shichu's eyes, winning over the goddess was clearly more important than earning a labor fee. Even if he was called a jerk, he didn't mind. He just stayed with his brothers, neither fighting nor scolding. Seeing Soso only eating bread to fill her stomach, his heart ached. Shichu's behavior was extremely abnormal. His subordinates complained that he was too infatuated, causing no progress in the demolition work for 3 months. However, Shichu remained stubborn. What he didn't expect was that Susu despised the gang and wanted to distance herself from him, the gang leader. What is this? This is yesterday's meal money. And don't do this again. Although Shichu has endured for 3 months without resorting to violence, his gangster aura still makes Susu quite disgusted. Pretending to be a good person doesn't work. Susu also advises Shichu to quit and find a proper job. As long as he stays out of trouble, he will eventually meet a good woman. That evening, Shichu had a meeting with his brothers and decided to close all their entertainment venues to turn over a new leaf and move into legitimate business. His brothers were shocked and strongly opposed shutting down these sources of income. Turn on the TV for me. The TV is broadcasting the exciting election campaign. Candidate Councillor Choi is likely to be re-elected, but more people are hoping for a kind-hearted, chubby candidate. The underlings inform Suk. This chubby guy is Mr. Huang. If you want to turn over a new leaf, go to him. It's said he used to be involved in the underworld, but later he not only reformed but also successfully worked for the president, even entering the Blue House. However, he is now retired from politics and quietly runs a small restaurant. An anxious Shichu came to see Master Huang at dawn. A set meal costing 1,000 yuan in the store is practically a charity. On the other side, Soso informs everyone that the court has accepted a petition. According to its content, if the protests continue, each person will have to pay a fee of 500,000 won per day. The ones manipulating this are Congressman Choi's group. After finishing his meal, Shichu lingered around and finally met the legendary Mr. Huang. But before he could speak, Soso entered the room. They wanted to persuade Mr. Huang to run for election to represent the local merchants. Huang Yi is now volunteering to help an elderly woman living alone. The eager to impress Shichu was unexpectedly assigned to clean the toilets. But those who are willing to bow down will be rewarded. Shichu, who had been working hard, gradually gained Mr. Huang's approval. Finally, one evening, Mr. Huang asked Shichu to share his thoughts. Shichu said he is getting older and wants to do good deeds, hoping to leave a positive impression by engaging in charity work. The first test came quickly. A blonde guy was smoking in the restaurant, polluting the environment. When the waiter tried to stop him, he was humiliated by the blonde. Shichu stood up bravely and dealt with the thugs harshly, but got scolded badly by the boss lady. Seeing this, Mr. Huang left the payment and walked away. He told Shichu that being a good person isn't easy. First, you need to stop using your fists to solve problems. So, Shichu went back and ordered his brothers to lend the gang's money to merchants without interest. Regardless of losses, give them as much as they need. Focus all the gang's efforts on moving towards a legitimate path. Internet cafes and arcades are all closed. Only nightclubs are left now. But Shichu had made up his mind. He could give up the kingdom, but he couldn't give up the beauty. He must change his bad habit of hitting people. Huang Mao, who was beaten by him, was even more miserable. They were all under President Zhao, who was Shichu's enemy. To motivate his subordinates, President Zhao made Huang Mao accept punishment on his buttocks. Remember, you can lose anything outside, but never lose face. Meanwhile, Councillor Choi's campaign video has taken shape, portraying him as a dedicated public servant. But behind the scenes, Congressman Choi is in his mansion, surrounded by women. Researching how to get more votes, he learned that someone was lobbying Mr. Hwang to run for election and immediately showed disdain. Counselor Choi is currently troubled by something the previously hired black belt hasn't completed the demolition yet. Without demolishing the market, how can we build the skyscraper and make big money? What he doesn't know is that the delay is because the hired person switched sides at the last moment. Moreover, Mr. Hwang now wants to support the residents. But without a political identity, he can't remain idle. To fight against tyranny and injustice, he must run for office. I understand your hesitation, but we can't just stand by and watch the suffering. Master Hwang has finally agreed to come out of retirement. He just appeared on a current affairs talk show, instantly sparking media buzz. His approachable image quickly gained support from a large number of young and middle-aged people. On the other hand, the negative impact of Counselor Choi's demolition efforts has turned public opinion against him. After much consideration, Counselor Choi decides to resort to underhanded tactics. From a pile of phones, he picks the most useful one and arranges a dinner with the gang leader, Boss Zhao. He brings up the topic of demolishing the market to build a skyscraper and promises to reserve the top floor lounge for Boss Zhao once it's completed. To show his determination, Counselor Choi eats a live octopus with his bare hands and asks Boss Zhao to help clear out any obstacles in his way. With a clink of glasses, the deal was sealed. The underhanded tactics would surely catch Mr. Hwang off guard. Meanwhile, Mr. Hwang, deeply infatuated with Susu, got drunk at the restaurant and successfully mingled with everyone. It's a way to protect the merchants, preventing other gangs from forcefully demolishing their shops. You can tell he's a loyal and righteous person. When pursuing a girl, having wingmen is essential. After hearing her friends' opinions, Soso felt a bit swayed and was dragged to the KTV by them. With the influence of alcohol and dim lighting, Sechu's silhouette suddenly seemed quite attractive. Sechu was so bold that he almost pinned Soso against the wall, making her heart race. But now the enemies are already planning how to demolish it, envisioning a 6-star hotel and shopping center.
완공이 언제라냐? 2021년 8월이요.
Xiaoyan saw Mr. Hwang bringing Shichu over. President Zhao secretly vowed to eliminate anyone hindering his rise to power and to align himself with future influential figures. Now, Shichu is getting better at his job. He humbly learns how to chop, plate, and serve dishes. When the elderly are happy with their meals, Hwang Yi is happy. When Hwang Yi is happy, Susu is happy. When Susu is happy, there's hope for Shichu's marriage. Soon, fate gives Shichu an opportunity. On the way to the restaurant to help in the kitchen in the morning, a luxury car suddenly swerved, forcing the bus to crash into the guardrail. The bus skidded for hundreds of meters, nearly falling off the bridge. The driver fell unconscious, and the passengers were in chaos. Shichu Qiang remained calm and directed everyone to escape. Just as he was about to climb over to save the driver, the bus, along with everyone inside, fell off. The traffic accident quickly made the news, with eyewitnesses and in-car surveillance footage as evidence. Surrounded by cameras as soon as I entered the restaurant upon learning this, my brother urgently delivered the latest suit. While cursing his underlings for not doing their jobs, he sincerely introduces the situation to everyone. Since he is now part of Mr. Hwang's camp, Mr. Hwang's approval rating has soared again. A 12% gap stands like a chasm before Congressman Choi. No way, the election hasn't even started yet. So, Counselor Choi called President Zhao out and beat him up in front of his subordinates. The gangster boss couldn't show any of his usual swagger in front of the law. The next day, the latest public opinion poll results were released. Hwang Ye's approval rating has already surpassed 47%. With the positive image of saving lives, this time victory should be assured. The great hero Shichu is always busy fixing pipes for the old lady. You big guy, I have to sleep at this time every day. Almost done. Unable to fix it immediately, Shichu went to the hardware store to buy parts. At this moment, Mr. Hwang came over with a new quilt to visit. What should have been a heartwarming scene hides a deadly plot. President Zhao hires 3 hefty hitmen to ambush Mr. Hwang, who gets blocked on the road as soon as he steps out. The 3 hitmen were all incompetent. Plus, Mr. Hwang, being a seasoned gangster, quickly took control of the situation. President Zhao, unable to bear it any longer, slashed Mr. Hwang's lower back. Just as Shichu returned with the parts, he saw the goddess being bullied and took down the 3 assassins. However, the real culprit escaped. The severely injured Mr. Hwang was sent to the hospital. Counselor Choi even came to visit. It's obvious to everyone that Counselor Choi is afraid that Huang wasn't fatally stabbed. But with the dark and slippery streets and no surveillance in that area, investigating is nearly impossible. Chu feels that relying solely on the police won't work. For such shady matters, the underworld has to step in. They immediately confronted President Zhao for an explanation. But who would admit to collusion without evidence? Besides, President Zhao was waiting in the top floor suite. No matter what Chu said, he insisted he had no connection with those involved in politics. I vaguely remember that the 3 assassins we fought yesterday each weighed at least 100 kilograms. With such obvious characteristics, it shouldn't be hard to find them. Mobilize all the gang members to find him within the deadline. However, Mr. Huang is seriously injured. If the knife had been just a bit off, it would have been fatal. Mr. Huang suggested that Chu take his place in the election. The knife wound on his lower back will need at least a month of rest. Although Chu still has some gangster habits, as long as he can show the courage he had when saving people on the bridge, he will definitely have a good outcome. But after all, Kaesai was born into the underworld, and he was conflicted about whether to run for office. I remember he once asked Soso why she wanted to get into politics. At that time, Soso replied that she realized the law isn't fair to everyone and often doesn't meet practical needs. So, she wanted to change these situations and speak for the public. Although Soso wasn't very optimistic about Chu, since Mr. Huang valued him, he should be reliable. In politics, there's never a way out. Whether you do well or not, you'll be criticized. That's politics.
오늘부터 4.13 총선에 나선 후보들이 일제히
Banners are everywhere and teams are canvassing for votes. Each candidate has their own set of promises. Some talk about creating a tourist city, others about solving polarization issues. But when Chu took over for Mr. Huang, he stood alone on the stage, passionately speaking to a sparse crowd. The onlookers didn't seem very optimistic about him.
저 건달이 버스하고 땜새 좀 인기가 있는 거.
There are almost no spectators here. However, Counselor Choi's professional atmosphere team makes it look much better. To help Secha get familiar with the election process, Soso specifically invited fellow candidate Sister Lu for assistance. You must work hard. Even with effort, there are times when you can't achieve your goals. Sister Lu kindly told Chu that handling those gray industries is a plus. But politics isn't just about canvassing votes and giving speeches. There are many details to pay attention to. Meanwhile, 3 chubby assassins are hiding in the Philippines, eating instant noodles.
돈이 없다니까. 이미 몇 담씩 송금한.
I can't even afford instant noodles now. All hopes are on President Zhao to send the final payment. But at this moment, Brother Ma has already barged in. The deadliest man in South Korea exudes a murderous aura, instantly dropping the room's temperature. On the other hand, the situation here is really not optimistic. Since replacing Mr. Huang, his approval rating has plummeted rapidly and is now more than 20% behind Congressman Choi. To gain support, you need votes. 2 close associates came up with a sneaky idea to get the nightclub staff and guests to vote.
다 가보면 300명쯤
대체 가지고 춤추고 오면은
The campaign isn't going well. The only good news is that Mark is ready to bring back the 3 fat assassins, which will serve as strong evidence to take down Senator Choi. Before the next election, Sher went to a factory and found an old lady, calling her mom right away. Seeing the old lady's displeased expression, he knelt down on the spot, which made the old lady furious, and she started cursing him. Every time I hear you call her mom, it drives me crazy. The old lady is actually the mother of Chu's good brother. Years ago, in a heated fight over territory, his good brother was stabbed to death on the spot, becoming an eternal pain in the old lady's heart. She could never forgive Chu, perhaps because of his gang background. Counselor Choi, who ranks first in approval ratings, seems to have it in the bag. They were already celebrating early, even getting chummy with the prosecutor, hinting that once they rise to power, they would support his promotion. Amidst the singing and dancing, President Zhao made an urgent call, clearly informed that the matter of the 3 fat assassins is about to be exposed and asked Counselor Choi for advice.
아이 그게 무슨 개 풀 뜯어먹는 소리.
의원님이 토스해갖고 나가 때린 건
President Zhao threatened that if something happened to him, he would drag everyone down with him. But Congressman Choi wasn't afraid. He had evidence of President Zhao's murder. The 15-year statute of limitations hadn't expired, so he could still control him for another 3 years.
내일 얘기하려니까 돈이나 준비하시오. 그러고
In the evening, Sister Lu visited Mr. Huang and praised him for his chivalrous spirit. He paid off the debts of the hotel maids and donated a lot of money. Just like someone else, after talking with Mr. Huang, Sister Lu immediately found Chu and announced her withdrawal from the election. She said she would urge her supporters to vote for Chu. Upon hearing this, Counselor Choi thought to himself that things were not looking good. The approval rating was further narrowing, now only a 10% difference.
유력 후보인 최만수 후보는
The advisors warned that if no action is taken, there will be trouble. Senator Choi suddenly lost his temper.
까고 있네 씨발 진짜. 정치가 분석으로 돌아가? 정치는 이 새끼야.
Senator Choi has already decided we must frame Shi Chu for the assassination of Mr. Huang. The reason is simple. A gangster trying to become a congressman betrays his benefactor. This motive is easily accepted by the public. Moreover, Congressman Choi wants to implicate President Zhao and distort the truth. It would be best to disguise it as if Zhao was sent to assassinate Mr. Huang. President Zhao is still waiting for Councillor Choi in the suburbs. He thought Councillor Choi would be on his side, but the aide's words made him lose his temper on the spot.
시켰고 조사장님 보고 자수하라고 하시던데요.
President Zhao's leverage for murder is still in their hands, so he has to temporarily comply. 3 fat assassins will enter the country tomorrow afternoon. We must inform Congressman Choi. Also, he will find a way to bring down Shi Chu. Otherwise, no one will be safe.
아유 확실하고 안 하고가 아니라 방법이 이것밖에 없다니까.
In front of the camera, Councillor Choi once again deceives everyone with his harmless demeanor. With a smile, he tells the audience about a gang fight 12 years ago where one person was stabbed to death. However, someone closely related to that case. Now, surprisingly, he has transformed into one of the regional candidates. And so, the news of the murder case involving Shi Chu was reported.
오는 길이고요.
왜 이렇게 중요한 얘기를 안 했어요?
How do you plan to resolve this? Do you think elections are child's play? Now, not only the general public, but even Susu has serious misunderstandings about Shi Chu. And she was kidnapped by President Zhao's men. Meanwhile, the news reported that 3 assassins attempted to kill Mr. Huang. To avoid suspicion, Councillor Choi decided to sacrifice his pawns to protect himself. But the naive President Zhao still harbors illusions and continues to work for Councillor Choi. He plans to use Soso's life to force Xiaobai to release the fat assassins.
새끼 너 소연 씨 털끝만큼만 건들면 진짜 죽여버린다.
The situation is now completely deadlocked. They don't dare call the police, and they can't solve it themselves. Yet, Councillor Choi still has the audacity to come over and shake hands, pretending to be friendly. With reporters around, Sechu can only glare at him with eyes that could kill. Shi Chu couldn't hold back and grabbed his collar, wanting to hit him. As a result, Congressman Choi pretended to be hurt and lay on the ground. Even though it was Shi Chu who was provoked, the media and the public would now think that Shi Chu is guilty. Politics isn't something you can dive into impulsively. Shi Chu just wanted to save people, so he changed into professional attire at night and went to find President Zhao, but he was already gone. Shi Chu had no choice but to release the person as instructed. Senator Choi lies weakly in the hospital bed. Despite having no injuries, he acts like an Oscar-winning actor, almost dying. His dramatic performance gains him much sympathy. As soon as the media leaves, he immediately returns to his true self.
그럼 그 12년 전 살인 사건이 의원님께서 검사 시절 맡았던
That year, it was an intense battle between Shi Chu and President Zhao. Back then, it seemed like Congressman Choi let President Cho off the hook. But using this as an excuse, he was manipulated for 12 years. Even now, they have no intention of letting him go. Moreover, his reputation is completely ruined, and President Zhao is of no use anymore. They don't even answer his calls. The blonde guy loyally offered to kill for him, while secretly stuffing 2 stacks of money into his pants. He then asked President Zhao about his future plans. Seeing the blonde guy's loyalty, President Zhao generously handed him 2 more bills. The stingy President Zhao didn't expect that this trip would lead to big trouble. Blondie, a gambler, had no intention of doing the job after taking the money. He lost it all at an underground casino. Coincidentally, the casino owner was very generous. Upon hearing the news, he immediately lent Blondie 50 million. By the way, have him sign and put his fingerprint on the document. The casino boss leads the way with the blonde to get the money, while Shi Chu and his brothers follow closely behind. Moreover, the underlings informed the detectives, ensuring everything would go smoothly. Even at the dock, the detective friends advised not to act impulsively.
세춘아, 네 인자 선거 하루 남았다. 우리가 잡으려니까.
The casino boss forced the blonde to swallow a pill with a tracker. After fiddling with his phone to confirm the signal, he finally let him in.
진짜 튀겨요, 형님? 영양제? 밤새
Everything was going smoothly, except that Shi Chu was being disobedient and insisted on going in to find Susu himself. As soon as Huang Mao saw Shi coming out, he turned and ran, only to be caught by the detectives at the door. At this moment, Susu was almost assassinated. Seeing Soso from a high place, he urgently called her to come over. Sensing the urgency, he leaped off the boat and rushed towards her. At that moment, he fought with President Zhao. Although President Zhao had a dagger, he didn't know how to fight. Sechu tightly locked him, leaving him unable to move. But Zhao played dirty. I should have killed you back then. He punched like a madman, but that's all he could do. The underlings had already pulled them apart. If footage of the fight were captured, his campaign would immediately fail. After a night of life and death, Susu held Shirchu and cried uncontrollably. Shirchu finally wins the beauty's heart. The chubby killer is caught, and President Zhao is also arrested. The murder suspicion on Shirxian is cleared. However, Congressman Choi, suspected of colluding with the underworld, sees a sharp drop in support. Not only are netizens criticizing him, but even the prosecutor's office is investigating. Unfortunately, President Zhao was caught as soon as he went in. All backup call recordings have been handed over to the prosecutor. This time, no one can protect Counselor Choi unless he finds someone with higher authority. Shirchu finally found new life. The old lady, who uncovered the truth from 12 years ago, finally reached out to Shirchu. Winning the election is a must. The villagers all support him. Now it's just the final step. With everyone's hopes on his shoulders, Shirchu stood in front of the microphone, slightly trembling. His genuine and natural reaction won the crowd's cheers.
식당을 하면서 느낀 적이 많아요.
장사해도 개발인이 뭐니 해가지고 쫓겨나버리고 말이 안 되죠.
Shirchu tells everyone that life was not like this before the developers came. A good life should be about sharing with each other. During this time, he followed Mr. Huang around, helping out wherever he could. He realized that even in poverty, one can still share with others. Coming from a rough background, he has made it to where he is today. He doesn't claim to have a spotless past, but seeing neighbors supporting each other, he now understands how to live his life. Please support me, Zhang Shi, in entering the parliament. The final voting phase has begun. From 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., over 17 million people participated in the local polling stations. The election results from all regions will be announced by the election host.
효율이 높은데 제 손에 이제 출구조사 결과
과연 국민은 어떤 선택을 했을까요?
After a countdown of 10, everyone stood up and cheered for Shirchu. Even Mr. Huang in the hospital room toasted with his assistant to celebrate. They watched Shirchu give his acceptance speech on camera. Counselor Choi, driven by jealousy, chugged soju and immediately saw traffic police checking for drunk driving. Trying to pull rank in front of the traffic cop? Too bad, they don't care. Even if the president shows up today, the breathalyzer test is still happening. For those who resist and attempt to assault the police, we must take mandatory measures. The election turmoil is finally over. Shirchu and Susu, the golden couple, have finally come together safely. When asked why Sechu helped him when they first met, Sechu felt a bit embarrassed. He said he woke up after being slapped and realized that being in the underworld was quite shameful. He should have fallen in love with me at first sight, right? A little playful banter between the couple is harmless, but actually it was love at first sight. That day, before Shirchu got out of the car, Susu happened to arrive. Unaware that someone was inside, she fixed her hair in the car window. Shirchu fell in love right then, leading to the story that followed. The main antagonist, Counselor Choi, has just woken up from a hangover. He was detained yesterday for causing a drunken disturbance. The moment he sees President Zhou's face, he senses trouble.
병신이 어째 국회의원을 두 번이나 했을까?
Can I make it two? No one knows what happens next. After all, the idea of the underworld entering Congress through elections is too surreal. It inevitably reminds people of a movie by the versatile actor Tony Leung. Long Live the King is adapted from a popular Korean webtoon. The overall story is quite standard and overly glorifies gang members. Instead of the expected gangster boss causing chaos in politics, he is restricted everywhere because he wants to clean up his identity. However, one line in particular is quite thought-provoking. As the protagonist is about to run for office, the goddess warns him about what politics truly is.